What's up everybody? Welcome back to Unparalleled Universe for another action figure review, and today we are finally taking a look at the kind of brand new Mezco 112 Collective Spider-Man 2099. This guy started to ship from Mezco maybe about like a month ago, I would say, and I've had him for about 2 weeks. I just haven't been able to get to him, but I wanted to make a review for it because I would say that this figure is probably in my top 5 most anticipated figures of 2022. So even though I'm kind of late to the party, I still wanted to make a video talking about it because I'm very excited about this guy. So let's go ahead and get into it, starting off with the packaging. We have some awesome looking Spider-Man 2099 artwork right here. Over here in the corner, it does say Mezco exclusive. Over here it says Spider-Man 2099. On the side of the box, we have the Spider-Man 2099 logo. That's awesome. And then on this side, we have the same artwork that we just saw on the opposite side. It would have been cool if we had some different artwork, but it's all good. At least they did put some really nice looking comic book style artwork on the box. I always appreciate that. And I also appreciate that this box is much smaller than Mezco typically uses. That's usually the case when it comes to their exclusives. I really prefer this style of box as opposed to their regular retail boxes. So this is always awesome. But yeah, enough about this pretty little box. Let's go ahead and open this guy up and take a look. Alrighty, so here we have Miguel O'Hara right out of the box. And look, I've got to tell you guys, honestly, when it comes to Mezco, recently, I haven't really been into what they have going on. And not to say that they're making bad figures or anything like that. In fact, I think they're doing an incredible job when it comes to the Rumble Society. But that stuff just doesn't really appeal to me all that much. You know, I see it and I go, damn, that looks awesome. But I don't really need it. I'm completely okay passing on most of that stuff. I do think that they have a couple of great ones. You know, some of the Gomez figures are awesome. I do like Atticus Doom. But, you know, for the most part, I see it and I go, nah, not for me. It's cool. I hope people like it, but I don't need it. And they just don't really give me the feeling that Mezco 112 figures used to give me like they did back in the day. You know, 5 or 6 years ago, you open up a Mezco figure and it was like an experience. And I kind of forgot about that experience until Spider-Man 2099, man. I gotta say, just like Iron Fist before him, Spider-Man 2099 is giving me flashbacks of the Mezco magic. This thing is freaking awesome. I think that Mezco did an incredible job on this. Check out how awesome he looks. And dude, I'm just so happy to have a good Spider-Man 2099 figure because I don't think that one exists aside from this one. The Marvel Legends one is trash in my opinion. Like they need to put him on a better body. Hopefully they do that sooner rather than later. And honestly, I think that we're going to see a bunch of Spider-Man 2099 figures in the near future because he's going to pop up in the Into the Spider-Verse sequel. So I'm all for it. I want everybody to make Spider-Man 2099 figures. But as of right now, Mezco has the only awesome Spider-Man 2099. And damn it, they killed it. This thing is a beautiful looking figure. I did have a couple of concerns about him before I took him out of the box. The main one being the arm blades. And you know, I've got to say, even though I wish they would have used like a softer plastic that like had some play and had some give and you really didn't have to worry about it breaking, these do feel kind of durable. They are stiff, and you know, I would advise to still be careful when you're handling the figure, but they do feel a little bit more durable than I was expecting. Like, I don't think they're gonna break just by playing around with the figure. Now, if I drop them or something, I can imagine these things just snapping because they are kind of stiff. So you do want to be careful when handling the figure around the arms, you know. But yeah, I would say they do feel a little bit more durable than I was expecting. They are pretty sharp, so I'd imagine that they could shank the shit out of you if you're not careful. So be careful when you're handling the figure. But yeah, man, this thing is so dope. I really love the way that he came out. I know not everybody is crazy about the cape. I don't mind it. I don't really see how else they could have done it. You know, you kind of just want it to be like just a raggedy web hanging out on the back of the figure. That's kind of like what it's supposed to be, you know. And it's exactly that. So it works in my opinion. I just kind of... yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure what they could have done differently. I could see why people aren't crazy about it, but to me, I think it's fine. It works for what it's supposed to, so I like it. But yeah, man, this is a beautiful figure. They really, really killed it. And it's crazy because when it comes to Spider-Man, I would say that like most Spider-Man designs don't really lend themselves to the whole Mezco aesthetic, you know? I do like a couple of the Mezco Spider-Man figures. I love the black suit version and some of the movie versions, but you know, because he's like a character that you want to pose around a lot, it feels like Mezco kind of struggles with what kind of material they should use on the cloth for Spider-Man that's gonna, you know, withstand some posing. But I think they kind of figured it out here because, like, And it might be because of the design too, you know, maybe they don't have to cover as much with the overlay, but it seems like the overlay on Spider-Man 2099 is much thicker than we've seen on previous Spider-Man figures, so it seems like it's going to be a lot more durable. And yeah, he looks good, man. He doesn't look like a guy in pajamas or anything. And yeah, they killed it. And I was, like I said, I was really surprised because they don't kill it on every Spider-Man figure, but they did it on here. And he's definitely my favorite Mezco Spider-Man figure so far. But yeah, right out of the box, I am super happy with this guy. And then zooming in to get a good look at the details on this guy, one of the things that I was most impressed with is the way that the different types of material blend in with each other seamlessly. For example, if we take a look at the neck, obviously the neck is hard plastic and the body is covered in soft goods. But if we look close, the neck and the material on the body look as if they're the same thing. Like they both have a similar texture and they blend in with each other seamlessly. And that is just awesome stuff, man. I really appreciate things like that. And Mezco usually does a pretty good job with that whole thing. Sometimes better than others. But I would say that Spider-Man 2099 by far has the best execution of this situation, you know. You can't really tell the difference between his suit and his neck. And that is just great. Makes the figure look amazing. But let's go ahead and take a look at it. Starting off with the head. This is a great looking head sculpt. The blue has some amazing texture. The red is just flat and very striking. I think it looks awesome. You can see some facial features under the mask like the nose and a little bit of the mouth. But man, this is dope. I love his design too. I love the contrast of the red and the blue. I think it looks incredible. And Mezco did a great job of translating it into figure form. But man, awesome stuff here. And then moving down into the neck, as I said, we do have that texture that blends in very nicely with the suit. And then taking a look at the suit here, I don't know what kind of material this is, but it's awesome and it's holding up very well. I've been playing with the figure quite a bit. Haven't seen any signs of damage or anything. And then look at the logo on the chest. This is awesome. And this is like thicker material than we're used to seeing on Mezco figures too. So seems like it's more durable. It looks really good. I like the design here. They didn't change anything up too much. They did add a little bit of red accents, but you know, that's perfectly fine. Still looks like classic Spider-Man 2099 to me, so I'm happy with it. But yeah, look at that. That's awesome. Then coming down into the arms here, we do have these big red spikes. And here's another example of like the plastic just blending in seamlessly with the cloth of the figure. Like you can almost not even tell where the soft goods end on the figure. Like this is all soft goods and then it gets to the part where the blades are and they're like on a plastic plate, but it blends in nicely. See that? And the hands have some awesome texture as well that matches the suit. Look at that, dude. That's crazy. The stitching is underneath the arm, so it's not too much of an eyesore. But we do have the stitching that goes around the back there. And then on the inside of the legs. So you could kind of see that. But, you know, for the most part, they did a good job of hiding the stitching. And then we do have his cape. And, you know, like I said, I've seen some complaints about the little spider cape, but I like it. It's fine. It does have a bendy wire, so you could pose it around. Do whatever you want with it. Have it flying in the wind. So, yeah, it's not too bad. And down to the feet. Again, that same texture that matches the soft goods. I love this little detail here on the bottom of the feet. That's always cool to see stuff like that. But yeah, man, this is such a beautiful figure, and they just did so much right here, you know? Like I said, I'm very impressed with the way they blended the different types of material, just giving the figure a very natural look with nothing that like catches the eye as something that doesn't belong or something that clashes with something else, you know? You don't get any of that here. Everything just looks very smooth and nice and just perfect. So they killed it with the design and the details and everything on this figure. And in typical Mezco fashion, they did give Spider-Man 2099 a bunch of great accessories, including 6 different sets of hands. So first off, we have a pair of fists, and then we have a set of gripping hands, and then we have a set of web shooting hands, and these are basically just crazy looking open hands that have a notch in the top so that you could stick the web effect in there and make it look like Miguel is shooting his webs out. And then he does come with 3 different types of open dramatic hands. And I really like that they gave us 3 different open hands that are very similar but slightly different from each other. I think it could add a lot to photos and make things feel and look unique. So Even though these are very similar to each other, I love the fact that he came with 3 different sets of open clawed hands. That's awesome. And then he does come with some web effects. We've seen these web effects before, but they are still cool. First off, we have this like big, huge like spider web. It's just like a flat thing. It's cool. And then he does come with some web shooting effects, you know, like various things. We have one that looks like it's kind of spread out, and then a couple that look like he's gonna web onto something and grab it, and then one that kind of looks like an impact type of web effect. And he does come with one of those web effects that you could put onto another figure's face and make it look like Spider-Man shot a web at him. So that's nice. And then he does come with a Mezco stand. We see these things all the time. I love the fact that they put the comic book artwork on there. And then he does come with this little communicator that you could put onto his wrist. And I think this is awesome. I like the way he looks with it on. But what's even more awesome is the other communicator that he comes with, because this one actually has Layla coming out of it. And Layla is his AI assistant. And check this out, man. This is awesome. It's kind of hard to see all the details on there because it's so small. But you could definitely see that it's a female. You could see her arms, her hair, and her dress kind of flared out. Kind of looks like she's dancing or something. And that is awesome. I love the translucent, like fiery plastic that it's made out of. This is so cool. And this is the kind of thing that Mezco really excels at. They always come up with good ways to give us unique accessories. And yeah, this is great, man. I love this so much. This is such an awesome thing to include with this character. And he does come with 3 different heads, starting with the masked one. I think they did a great job with it. Very nicely sculpted, really good detail. Just everything about this is very well done in my opinion. And the second head has his mask half up where we could see his mouth. And I think this is awesome. I love that they gave him fangs. I think that's very cool. And yeah, this is great, man. They did a good job with this. And this is probably my favorite head sculpt out of the 3. This is so cool. And then for the final head, we have a completely unmasked Miguel O'Hara head sculpt. And I think they did a great job with this. He doesn't have that waxy look that Mezco figures used to have back in the day. They've definitely gotten better. At this point, I think they are pretty good with unmasked head sculpt. So I'm happy to see that they got better over time. And Miguel O'Hara is a really good example of that. There's like no waxiness. It looks really, really good. And yeah, they killed it, man. This is a great looking head sculpt. Some nice looking detail in the hair. Nice facial features, and yeah, just extremely well done. So they did a good job with this head sculpt in my opinion. Alrighty, so now for some size comparisons. Here we have Spider-Man 2099 alongside the Mezco 112 Collective Black Suit Spider-Man and the Mezco 112 Collective Far From Home Spider-Man. And I would say that these 2 figures are probably 2 of the best Mezco Spider-Man figures. In fact, the black suit version is by far my favorite Mezco Spider-Man, and actually, he's my favorite 6-inch black suit Spider-Man. And we'll see if that remains true after the Mafex version comes out, but for now, it's my favorite black suit Spider-Man. But it's no longer my favorite Mezco Spider-Man. That crown is now moving on to the Spider-Man 2099. This thing is amazing, but both of these figures are awesome. I would love to see Mafex do a Spider-Man 2099. I think they would kill it, but for now, I'm very happy to have the Mezco version. And you know, now that I have these 2 Spider-Man figures side by side, it kind of looks like Spider-Man 2099 has a bigger body than the black suit Spider-Man. I would have assumed that they just used the same body, but yeah, it actually looks a little bit bigger, so that's interesting. And then next up, we have them alongside the Marvel Legends Spider-Man 2099 figures. And you know, before I was talking about how this Spidey 2099 is not a very good figure, but I've got to say, for the time, I thought he was cool. I like the Pizza Spider-Man body. And, you know, 8 years ago, or whenever it was this guy was released, I thought it was cool. But it really pisses me off that just last year, they decided to re-release him, but it was exactly the same, aside from, like, the color being slightly different. But it was the same body, this old-ass body. Like, they've come up with so many good bucks to use, but they decided to give him this old, outdated, you know, not very good body by today's standards. So that really pisses me off. I think they need to give us another classic Spider-Man 2099 on a better body. Maybe even use this body over here, which is the Sunfire body. And actually, I think it was used on Spider-Man 2099 around the same time as Sunfire. Like, I think they might have started to hit stores around the same time. So I don't even know which one is first, whether it's Sunfire or Spider-Man 2099. But I think it works really good for Spider-Man. So I wish they would give us a classic Spider-Man 2099 on this body. And then next up, we have them alongside some of my favorite Spider-Man figures. On the left, we have the Mafex Classic Spider-Man, and on the right, we have the Sentinel Into the Spider-Verse Spider-Man. And, you know, like I said before, I would love to see Mafex do a Spider-Man 2099, but you know what? Sentinel would make an amazing Spidey 2099 as well. In fact, I think it might be pretty likely that they'll actually get to him eventually, since Miguel is gonna pop up in the sequel to Spider-Verse. So, man, that would be cool. But I'd be down for Spidey 2099 figures from both of these companies. I would definitely buy them both. So hopefully they do that. And speaking of Spider-Verse, here we have him alongside the Marvel Legends Spider-Man Noir with the custom coat from Rebel 10 Customs. And then on the opposite side, we have the Mafex Peter B. Parker. And man, I would love to see a Mezco 112 Collective Spider-Man Noir. I think his design really plays to their strengths, and they could do like an amazing figure. I'm surprised they haven't done him yet, and I'm really surprised they didn't do a Peter B. Parker. I think they probably could have done a good job with that too, but I don't know if it would have topped the Mafex one. I love this figure. This thing is awesome. And then next up, we have him alongside the soon-to-be obsolete Retro Spider-Man and the Mafex Ben Reilly Spider-Man. And I think that Hasbro should maybe consider making a Spider-Man 2099 on the updated version of this Retro Spider-Man. You know, the upcoming Renew Your Vows version. I think they should take that, make it Spider-Man 2099, and I would be very happy with that. And then next up, we have him alongside the Mezco 112 Collective Iron Fist and the Mezco 112 Collective Black Bolt. And the reason why I have them in here with him is because these are two other figures that resurrected the Mezco magic for me in recent years. I love all three of these. And you know what? I think they all might share the same body. So yeah, it's a very good buck. It works for a lot of characters. But man, these three figures are amazing. And you know, someone like Black Bolt is... you almost kind of need soft goods to do a good job at him, you know, and Mezco took full advantage of that. This Iron Fist, at first, I was kind of like, oh, I don't know how posable he's going to be. You know, he's a fighter. He's got to be able to get into fighting poses without, like, the material getting damaged, and that's exactly what he could do. You could pose this figure all day long and don't have to worry about the material getting messed up whatsoever. And, yeah, Spider-Man 2099 is right up there with these guys for me. And then next up, we have him alongside the Mafex Gambit and the Marvel Legends 20th Anniversary Captain America. The only reason they're in here with him is because those two figures made me extremely happy, just like Spider-Man 2099. So that's the common ground there. And then to take us out of here, we have Spider-Man 2099 alongside the Marvel Legends Bucky Cap and Marvel Legends Pizza Spider-Man. And then as far as the articulation goes, I would say that he does have a pretty good amount. But he is a Mezco figure, so there are some limitations because of the soft goods and stuff like that. But I think for the most part, he is a whole lot of fun to play with, and you could definitely get him into some good Spider-Man type poses without really having to worry too much about damaging any of the material. So I'm happy about that. But let's go ahead and get into it, starting off with the head. He does have movement at the upper neck, so you can get him to look side to side, which is nice. And he does have some pretty nice tilt at the head as well, so that's always cool. And then he's able to look up to about right there, which is nice. And then he can look down to right there. And then he does have movement at the lower neck, but I would suggest taking it easy there because you don't want the plastic from the neck to rub against the material, because I would imagine that after some time you might see some damage in there. It looks like it'll hold up pretty well, but on some of the other Spider-Man figures from Mezco, I definitely have had like cloth damage in there. So be careful there. But yeah, you get a lot of movement from the head itself, so you should be okay. And then for the torso, we do have a diaphragm cut and a ball joint at the waist. Using both of those, look at that. He could crunch forward a really nice amount. That is awesome. And again, no fear of damaging the material in here, so that is great. He could go back to about right there. Doesn't really go back all that much. That's kind of weird, huh? Maybe something's getting caught or something? I don't know. Seems like he could only go back to about right there. Can go to the side a pretty good amount though. Ooh, look at that. Damn. Hey, that'll work. Nice. And then you can twist at the diaphragm and a little bit at the waist, but it's easier to twist there at the diaphragm, so that's cool. And then for the arms, we do have a ball joint at the shoulder, so you could bring that up to about right there, which is pretty decent. Oh, it could go back a little bit more. Crazy. I wonder if I shift things around. Oh yeah, if you shift it around, you could actually bring it up just a little bit more going forward, so that's cool. And then you could bring his arm out to the side to about right there. Oh, look at that. That's dope. Yeah, that'll work. And then he does have upper bicep swivel, double jointed elbows. Bam, look at that. Bam. He doesn't have, let me see, does he have? I don't feel any type of butterfly joint in there. Or there's some kind of movement though. I don't know what's going on in there. I don't know if it's just a straight up ball joint in there or if there's... No, it feels like there's some kind of extra thing going on in there. But it's not quite a butterfly joint. It's a little bit of movement though. That's interesting. Let's get him into the boxing poses. Bam! Miguel's ready to whoop some ass. I like it. And then at the wrist, he does have a ball joint. So you could kind of swivel it around. You could hinge it, move the ball joint around, do whatever you want with the hand. So that's nice. Then for the legs, he can kick his leg out to the side to about right there. Again, you know, the material is holding up really well. No fear of anything getting damaged. Yeah, hell yeah. Nothing more satisfying than an awesome looking Spider-Man figure that you could play with, you know? And this guy seems to be holding up really, really well. He could kick his leg forward a really good amount. Yeah, look at that. I don't know what his arms are doing, but... you can get his leg up a pretty decent amount, actually. So, I like that. And then he does have, like, an upper thigh swivel in there. Double jointed knees. Bam. Good range on those. At the ankle, we do have, like, a ball joint. And, you know, Mezco can always do a little bit better on their ankles. But Miguel's are all right. As you could see, they could move side to side. They could swivel, go forward to right there, come up to right there. Yeah, the side to side is pretty good on these, but the material kind of goes down, way down there, so it doesn't come up at all. So it kind of hinders it just a little bit, but for the most part, the ankles are pretty decent, especially compared to some Mezcos of the past. But yeah, man, I like it. He's definitely fun to play with. Material's holding up really well. I'm really trying to go for it, man. Like, I don't want to damage the figure, but I want to get the maximum posability out of him and make sure that you guys are able to see that the material is durable, you know? Because that's not always the case with every Mezco figure, especially Mezco Spider-Mans. But I've been playing with this figure quite a bit and haven't had any fear of the material creasing or becoming damaged in any way. I'm not really sure what they used here, but it's pretty durable, man. So, yeah, the figure does have some pretty good posability and a huge fun factor. I'm having a whole bunch of fun playing around with him. And it's just enjoyable because I don't have to worry about the material getting damaged. I don't know what the hell they use, but they need to use it all the time. It really worked out well for Miguel. But alright, so overall, at the end of the day, when the smoke clears, the dust settles, and it's all said and done, I don't think there's much more to say. I think that it's pretty clear that I absolutely love this figure. I think that Mezco did an incredible job with it. He definitely brought back the Mezco magic for me that I haven't really felt since Iron Fist. I think Iron Fist was probably the last Mezco figure that I really, really loved, and now Spider-Man 2099 is up there with them. This guy came out so good. I think they pretty much did everything right. The only thing I would change is probably the arm blades. I wish that they were made out of softer plastic so they had a little bit more give and I didn't have to worry so much about breaking these things. But even as it is, they're pretty durable. So, you know, I've been playing with this figure with confidence that it's not going to snap the arm things, but I'm still kind of cautious, you know. So even that one problem that he has, I'm okay with. I think they absolutely killed it. The sculpting work on him is amazing, super detailed. The soft goods are really, really nice, and I love the way the soft goods and the sculpted parts kind of blend in together very seamlessly, and he just looks amazing. The accessories are great too. I love the alternate heads. Always love getting extra hands and web effects and all that kind of stuff, but the standout accessory is definitely Layla that he comes with. I think this is such a cool accessory. I love to see Mezco do these type of things. They're always killing it with the out-of-the-box accessories, so I'm happy that they included something like that for Miguel O'Hara. And yeah, man, this is a great figure. Another thing that I really love about this figure is the posability and the articulation. We don't always get that with Mezco figures, but I think they did a great job of maintaining articulation on this figure, even with the soft goods and everything. He's really posable. He's a whole bunch of fun to play with. The soft goods feel durable. They don't feel like they're going to get damaged. I wouldn't leave him in any kind of crazy pose for a long period of time, but as far as just picking him up and playing with it a little bit and putting him in crazy poses, you know, he could definitely do the job, and it doesn't feel like you're going to damage the figure whatsoever. So that's huge for me when it comes to a Mezco figure, because we don't always get that with Mezco figures. But with this Spider-Man, you could definitely get pretty crazy with it, you know, within reason, and you know, not have to worry about it too much. So I'm really happy about that. And it feels so good to finally have a good Spider-Man 2099 figure, because we just don't have one, you know? Like, that Marvel Legends one was okay for its time, but now it's old and not very good, and we need a new one. But man, I'm so happy that Mezco killed it. I hope to see like Sentinel and Mafex tackle Spider-Man 2099. I think either one of them can do an incredible job. But for now, if we never get another Spider-Man 2099, I'm happy that I finally have a super dope one that I could have on my shelf along with my other Spider-Man figures. Man, Mezco killed it. I really love this thing. And with that, I think that's it. Thank you so much for watching. Please be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and all that good stuff. Also, be sure to hit the bell notification so you know every time that I go live. If you're not aware, I do go live every Tuesday at 7 p.m. and every Friday at 7 p.m. So come through, let's talk about toys and get weird. Thank you very much. Peace.